Every generation accepts the exact same contract. Give 40 to 60 hours of your week to a job with a built-in ceiling. Do it for 40 years and hope there's enough left at the end to enjoy retirement. This baseline system thrives on you trading your prime decades to fuel someone else's dream, while your capital stays locked inside an account, losing purchasing power daily. But what if you compressed that 40-year timeline into a high-intensity 7-year sequence? Reaching complete financial autonomy early is not luck, it is pure financial plumbing. It requires you to dismantle every traditional belief you have about money, work, and security. We are stripping away the hype and running the real-world strategy to build a structural exit. The first step costs $0, but it is the hardest to execute. You must completely reset your expectations of what is normal. Most people fail because they are trapped in a loop of disbelief, assuming working until old age is an inescapable law of physics. If you tell yourself you are a permanent part of a 9-to-5 desk, your actions will align with that identity. You will quit when the sequence gets difficult, abandon your budget, and stay exactly where you are. To break the loop, you must change your data inputs. Consume numbers and case studies until early independence starts looking like basic math. Flood your brain with structural finance until the standard 40-year workweek feels entirely irrational. Once you realize it is insane to trade your best years for a fixed ceiling, your daily choices change automatically. Sacrifices stop feeling like punishment, they become tactical choices. But a structural shift requires a powerful baseline reason, because this process is an outright grind. In year 2 or 3 of your timeline, the initial excitement will vanish. You will look at people buying new cars, going out to expensive dinners, and ask yourself, why am I spending my nights building an asset that isn't paying me $1 yet? If your only answer is to have more money, you will slide right back into the traditional loop. Money is just numbers on a screen. It cannot sustain you when the sequence gets brutal. You need deep, crystal-clear clarity on your operational why. For some, it's the refusal to let a manager control their time. For others, it's a family legacy, the absolute refusal to miss a single important milestone or an afternoon with their children. When your desire for freedom matches your panic of staying trapped, refusing premium convenience items becomes a no-brainer. You trade temporary luxury for permanent liberty. Once your mindset is locked, we move to the math, finding your explicit freedom number. The traditional financial movement tells you to amass 25 times your annual expenses before leaving your job. If you spend $40,000 a year, they say you must accumulate over $1 million in liquid cash to live off the interest. But looking at $1 million target feels like looking at Mars. It makes the timeline look like a multi-decade sentence. We are moving the goalposts completely. The objective is not to stop working forever. Human beings are wired to build and produce.
True retirement without a goal leads directly to stagnation, because driven individuals need a target to pursue. The real goal is to eliminate the need for a mandatory day job by replacing it with complete control over how you earn your money. Therefore, your freedom number is not a multi-million-dollar net worth. It is simply the exact monthly amount required to cover your foundational survival expenses: housing, basic food, utilities, and insurance. If your core lifestyle cost is $4,000 a month, that is your target. If you can build a system, an asset, or a set of scalable skills that generates that amount outside of your 9-to-5, you are officially free. You don't need $1 million in a vault. You just need a recurring pipeline that matches your baseline needs. To hit that number in 7 years, you must attack it from 2 sides simultaneously. Ruthlessly lower your baseline expenses while building a scalable asset. Most people spend 30 to 40% of their gross income just to keep a roof over their heads. Eliminating housing friction entirely, whether through house hacking, taking on roommates, or moving into a cheaper space, is the fastest way to drop your required baseline to zero. It is a temporary sacrifice to eliminate your largest financial leak. If you are serious about time freedom, selling the oversized house, trading a luxury car payment for an old, reliable commuter vehicle, and halting premium dining out are the strategic plays that drop your freedom number from an impossible mountain down to an accessible hill. Aggressive baseline budgeting lowers your threshold so much that walking away from a traditional job requires a fraction of the usual savings. Lowering your expenses radically shortens the time it takes for your side assets to replace your salary. Which brings us to the engine, the side asset. There are two distinct variations of side income, and if you choose the wrong one, you will trap yourself in a secondary job loop. The first variation is linear income, things like food delivery, ride sharing, or manual freelancing. You trade 1 hour of your life for $20. The moment you stop moving, the money stops flowing. There is a hard structural cap on your growth because you cannot manufacture more time. This is a temporary tool to pay off debt, but it is never the exit strategy. The second variation is scalable income. This is where you work for months or even years, earning exactly $0 while you hyper-focus on mastering a high-leverage digital skill. You are investing your time up front to build an asset that can scale infinitely without requiring your physical presence 24 hours a day. Think about skills like copywriting, script writing, channel management, or digital video editing. These are stackable, high-value capabilities that anyone can learn online. At first, you produce nothing but unrewarded effort, but as your skill level passes mediocrity, your leverage explodes. A skilled digital producer doesn't get paid by the hour, they get paid by the scale of the value they create. If you write an asset that doubles a business's sales, earning thousands from a single client becomes standard math. If you handle systems for a few clients from a laptop, your pipeline scales rapidly while working minimal hours from anywhere on Earth.
This is the exact compounding effect of labor. Upfront investment requires sacrificing television, deleting video games, and giving up weekends while maintaining a primary job. It is a pure upfront investment of uncompensated hours. But once the skill set locks into place and the infrastructure is built, the asset begins to compound faster than the hours put into it. The system takes over the heavy lifting. The skills you learn are entirely stackable. If you try a blog and realize you hate writing, that effort isn't a loss. You've just acquired a foundational understanding of digital hooks and audience psychology that you can instantly transfer into video editing, sales funnels, or social media management. Every failed attempt adds a new layer of structural integrity to the ultimate wealth engine. The marketplace doesn't care about your background, your credentials, or your excuses. It only cares about value and execution. Most people spend years waiting for the perfect, risk-free idea before taking a single step. They get trapped in an endless loop of learning, reading books, and watching videos, but they never pitch a client and they never publish an asset. They remain consumers of information rather than architects of systems. To win, you must stop focusing on your weaknesses and double down entirely on your strengths. Build an automated lifestyle of constant learning and immediate execution. Try multiple paths until the right engine clicks. If you try one thing and stop because it's difficult, you are letting the traditional contract win. Expect the first 2 to 3 years of your 7-year sequence to be completely unrewarded. Expect the grind to be lonely, heavy, and exhausting. But recognize that front-loading your sacrifices for less than a decade is the only mechanical way to buy back the remaining decades of your life. The mathematics behind a compressed timeline are clear, but the discipline to execute the blueprint is exceptionally rare. Most people will turn off this video, finish their evening, and continue leaking their capital into traps that yield zero growth. They will choose comfortable stagnation today over radical independence tomorrow. But if you're ready to drop the traditions that keep you bound to a desk, lock down your real numbers, and start building actual leverage for your future, hit subscribe to Net Plus right now. We skip generic financial advice and focus entirely on the cold, raw math of wealth creation. Implement the framework, ignore the cultural noise, and let time execute the strategy. See you in the next breakdown. Tighten up the loose plumbing, focus on the scalable leverage, and refuse to build someone else's machine. The structural exit sequence is completely unlocked. Get to work.